HR friends, welcome back. We're in the 5-3 emotional 6.5 day sequence. We're going to talk about day five. Day five is right here in this white rectangle. Now, if this is your first forecast with us, we strongly recommend you back out of this video. Right below it's this little link right here. This is the 5-3 emotional overview. That's going to discuss how these graphs are formatted, and it's really going to allow you to understand what these forecasts are about so you can keep up with us because we're going to scoot along here. Now, day five is definitely going to be the first day where it's going to get some challenge here before the end of this sequence. Now, we've talked about, and we're briefly going to review day one, day two, day three, day four into day five. So, day one, we had an emotional polarity flip. That's what creates this roller right here. When this shuts down in day two, we have a mental polarity flip that's happening. That creates a roller in day two. This one transitions into a third person perspective. That's what we deal with in day three. So we have a roller happening in day three. This is mental. Now in day four, we get a reset. There are no mental or emotional rollers that are happening. These are like those swells we talk about in the ocean analogy. And then we get the little waves that stack up on top of it. So day four was kind of calming down. And now day five, what we've got here is we've got the start of a swell that's going to continue in for the next 2.5 days. This swell is going to be a single emotional polarity flip for day five and six, and it'll be a double by the time we get to day six, 6.5. Now, this is going to connect with the 5-4 emotional sequence, and this agitation is going to continue on. So that's the whole review here of one, why this week has been difficult. One, we've had these agitations that have been holding steady for pretty much every day except for day four. And now day five, day 6.5 is going to become challenging. Now, when we look up here at the combined, so when we add first and third person together, we can see that we reach that level four, and we're pretty much there at the beginning, middle, and end of this sequence. And then the farther we go to the end of the sequence, the more we realize this is going to be hanging at that number four. Now, four is important because when we get to a four or a level above it, it's really going to start to activate the defensive design of our bodies, which is going to manipulate our individual and collective choices. And you don't want this pattern manipulating your choices because if it does, it convinces you to run away from your stress or create more of it, which accelerates aging and leads to future states of disease. So, day five, we're in a red alert here. This is the first day of the next 2.5 that are going to be difficult. And then once we transition into 5-4, we'll talk about that. But that's also going to be challenging. All right, so let's look at the testing structure here. So testing structure from day four to day five, there's not much change here. Now, as far as what the lesson is going to be, we'll talk about that in a minute, but how the quadrants of the body are going to be tested and how much stress you're going to feel in each quadrant, pretty much a continuation of day four. So there's not much to talk about that. Now, to be in balance with these governing frequencies, it's pretty simple to understand. What you got to do is you got to balance your choices with your family, but all the other families we coexist with. You see, this world is nothing but an interconnected team of families, and you have to commit to that team. And when you commit to the team, you not only commit to getting along with your family members, but all the other family members we coexist with. Now, this team has to be able to communicate, coordinate, work through stress together, but most importantly, this team has to organize and create a team objective. Now, that team objective is how you stay healthy. And what you'd want to do as a committed team member to this interconnected team of families is you want to balance your routine on a day-to-day basis, and your routine should be ensuring that every family, every individual, that our shared world and every nation within it is going to benefit from how you spend and use your time. Okay, now if you're using your time in a way that doesn't benefit every future member, meaning makes a difference right now where someone's born. So if your choices are helping the people that are born in the United States but hurting the people that are born in other countries, then you're out of balance. You want to have a routine that's not only going to help your country, your community, your family, the people that surround you, but every other family nation in the world. That's how that works. Now, the farther away you are from that, the more you're going to be out of balance with these frequencies, and the faster you're going to age and the more damage you're going to take. Now, that's just how the aging and the death process works. This is an objective. And if you pass this objective, there's a reward. Now, you're going to age and you're going to have disease in order to earn your reward because this is tough. It's not easy to overcome your defensive design, and you shouldn't imagine it will be, but you're capable of it. And if you do this, this is the reward you get. You get out of this negative feedback loop. All right, so that leads into this next graph, which tells you what the Plutonic objective master key is for this simulated experience. This is what you have to learn. There are 8 perspectives, and you have to learn these 8 perspectives from the first person perspective as well as the third person perspective. And then what this chart does is it shows you how there are going to be 64 combinations of first and third person perspectives before you completely understand every possibility that you would need to know in order to balance your choices and to help yourself and everyone around you. Now, we're going to try to simplify this chart for you because what we really want you to do is to be able to scroll down on this forecast page and see where all of these influences are and understand how to read these graphs. Okay. So, this is how simple it is, no matter what awareness is in control. So, for example, this magenta one right here, this is in the 8. So, in the horizontal column, it's in the 8 column, and in the vertical column, it's in the 4. So, this is the 8-4 macro mental. That's what this is right here. And what this is doing is it's combining the first person perspective of the world. You see how the first person perspectives run in this one right here, and the third person's run here. So with the third person perspective of the mother. Now, all this is what you got to ask is, what are your routines and your choices? What kind of future does that leave for the world, and what kind of future does that leave for the mothers that will inhabit that world? Now, if it's balanced, you've got no worries, but if it's unbalanced, then it's going to tell you what parts of your body are going to hurt. Now, this is the macro mental, which is the capital M frequency. So if you're out of balance with the world, it's going to hurt the left lower quadrant. If you're out of balance with the mother, it's going to hurt the right lower quadrant. That's how you read these, okay? This one goes on for the entire year. So if you've got a lot of lower quadrant problems that have been nagging you on either one of these sides, that would be indicating the 8-4 year or macro is what's affecting your body. So this magenta square actually correlates to the small m on this graph. It's the only micro frequency we're currently showing, okay? This is a 7.5-day frequency. Now, this frequency wants to know how the future looks for families and how the future looks for individuals because of your current routines, choices, and your relationships with your teammates. Now, if it's not going to leave this world a better place for families and it's not going to leave this world a better place for individuals, then it's going to tell you exactly where you're going to feel that. If it's the first person side, you're going to feel that in the right lower quadrant. If it's the third person side, you're going to feel that in the left lower quadrant. Again, this is a 7.5-day frequency. Now we're going to move on to the E frequency. This is a 6.5-day frequency. It's an emotional frequency. It's the 5-3 we're currently in. This is the emotional set. Now, this wants to see how your choices are going to affect the future for individuals and how it's going to affect the future for fathers. If you're out of balance with the individual perspective, it's going to put pressure on your right upper quadrant. If you're out of balance with the father perspective, it's going to put pressure on the left upper quadrant. Now, the last two that we're going to talk about are these P frequencies, these macro Ps. All right, so this P1 frequency, this wants to see how your choices are going to affect the future for individuals and for the nation. If you're out of balance with this one, you're going to feel it in the right lower quadrant if it's the individual imbalance, and you're going to feel it in the left upper quadrant if it's a natural imbalance. And when we go to the P2 frequency, the second macro P, this is going to check to see how the future is going to look because of your choices for the nation and for the individual. If you're out of balance with the national perspective, you're going to feel that in your left upper quadrant. If you're out of balance with the individual perspective, you're going to feel that in the right lower quadrant. So understanding where these strong frequencies are going to sit is going to help you understand the pain pattern that you're feeling in your body. All right, so that's enough about the Plutonic Objective Master Key. And you know what you got to do here. Now that we're showing you which relationships are the primary focus, you should make those your primary focus because that's how you're going to help yourself feel better as quickly as possible. Now, on day 5, we do have a couple alignments that we're going to talk about. This isn't a super strong day in alignments. Alignments are just when two frequencies align, and it's going to be very obvious, either in the good sense or in the bad sense. You're going to be able to notice how your choices are affecting how you feel. Now, the blue alignments have to do with how we get along with teammates. The purple alignments have to do with how balanced our routines are. Now, to get along with teammates, I've already talked about this. It doesn't matter if they're male or female, old or young, mature or immature. You got to be able to communicate, coordinate, work through stress, and balance and do this objective together, which means you have to synchronize your routines. Now, as long as you're doing that, you're not going to have any problems with blue alignments. But if you're not doing that, this is going to tell you what parts of your body are going to feel it. So if you go to our homepage, there's a live feed. That live feed has a time bar and it'll show you when we're going through these alignments. So if you start to get a headache or you start to notice a knot or tension in a certain part of your body, not only can you know now when these influences are changing to test you, but this will also show you when it's likely you're going to feel exacerbations to your current symptoms. That's what this is all about. Now, when the time bar is going through this alignment up here, which is the MP, and you feel it in your right or left lower quadrant, what it's really telling you is you're just having a hard time getting along with the younger teammates on the team. Same thing here for this EE. So if we're going through this blue alignment here and all of a sudden you start to get a headache on the right side of your head, you know that you're having trouble getting along with the older members of the team. Now, this purple alignment has to do with balancing routine, and this is going to be a tough one for some people because the green and the yellow colors have to do with the larger routines, the national and the world. And when you look around, you can see our nations are far from balanced and our climate and our world is far from balanced. So there are going to be a lot of people that are going to be experiencing this one. So specifically, these EEs, when the time bar is going through here, wouldn't be surprised if people feel stuff in their upper quadrants. And again, this is just trying to help you where you need to understand how important it is to balance and how much your choices are affecting you. All right, so that's it for the alignments here. We've got the rest of the days down here. So you can see day 3 is cycling. We've already done this. We can come down here and fast forward. This will show you what day 5 is. That's what we just went through. Then you can go ahead and see that we've got day 6 and day 6.5 already here for you too. We want you to be aware of where this pattern is going to be before it hits because, well, we want you to overcome it. We want you to balance with this. We want you to use this to your advantage. Slow aging, heal your body, get out of this negative feedback loop. All right, so down here we've got the alignment charts for the rest of the week too. These two graphs are synchronized together, okay? So when you're looking at day 3 here, you're looking at day 3 down here. All right, so and then the last chart we give you so that you have as much information as you can is this is the electromagnetics for the rest of this year. So this is the rest of 2024. We want you to be empowered so you know when every upkick is going to come, when our defensive design is going to be activated so that you aren't being manipulated and so that you can eliminate the stress in your life. And the more people we get, so the more individuals we get overcoming this pattern, the bigger the collective effect we're going to make. That's what Health Reconnected is up to. Look forward to seeing you at the next forecast.